Students of class 10, welcome to biology lesson number 8, as we are continuing now about the circulatory system, and today we are going to see about the structure of heart. It is very important when you look at the lesson. There are a couple of things which you need to understand about the heart, which is very simple if you pay attention, and if you miss the points you will find it very confusing, very complex. So take a time and try to understand with me as I am going to explain this about the heart, right? So about the heart, as you know in the past that our human heart is in a 4-chamber, right? You can see the diagram I have just drawn tentatively with my hands, a rough diagram, right? This is what the heart is about. It's a fist side and fist size, right? In the 4 chambers, this outer layer we generally have in each heart is like we have a wrapping on the gift, or we have the air bubble wrapping on the soft tender gifts. Same way God has provided us this wrapping outside. We learn this term as a pericardium. It's called covering, but it's called pericardium. Now pericardium, this word you learn in the maths also. Perimeter, right? Then we learn the word periphery. So peri means outer. So when you say pericardium, it means peri means outer. So it's the outer covering. Cardium is a word generally we use for the heart. So outer covering of the heart, right? So we call it pericardium, and this pericardium is the outer covering, is a very fibrous muscular layer, right? And in apart from this pericardium, we will find in between here this part of fluid. We call it pericardial fluid. So this pericardial fluid again is very important. The function of this pericardium is, and pericardial fluid is, to protect our heart from mechanical injury and shock. Generally you play, you jump here and there, sometimes you fall down, right? So in this area, in this time, such a difficult times, your heart remains in a good shape, in good condition, right? Then this fluid, the pericardial fluid, is functioning to lubricate the heart, right? So when we say a pericardium has a function to protect the heart, and then this fluid, it keeps the heart moist for proper functioning, right? And it provides lubricating and reduces the friction during the heartbeats when heart functions. So this is very important, pericardium and pericardial fluid, right? So pericardium is a muscular layer, outer covering of the heart, which is covering the all 4 chambers, is pericardium. And with this muscular layer, it contains a fluid also, which gives lubricating effect, keep the heart moist and helps the functioning properly. Now, as we learn, there are 4 chambers of the heart. So upper chambers are called right atrium and left atrium, right? And the lower chambers are called right ventricle and left ventricle. So when you think about this, you have to think about your left side. So when you draw this, you have to think about your left side and draw. So on your left side, when you yourself thinking about your own heart, on the left side, in the upper part is called left atrium and the lower part is called left ventricle. On your right side of the heart, it is right atrium and right ventricle, right? So these are the things you could keep in mind when you draw the diagram or when you think about the heart. Think about your own heart and your own left side and your own right side. And in that manner you can draw and you can understand the heart, right? Now you'll find there are different functions also. You can see if you look at the diagram here in your textbook, they have mentioned couple of things, couple of the vessels are there, right? And we can call veins and artery and capillary, right? As we know about the circulatory system, in the human it is closed circulatory system. Why it is called closed? If you take a look at the previous diagram on the previous pages, let me turn the pages and let's just recap. Take a look at this. Can you see this structure here? Right. So this is called closed system because this is vein and this is buccal is called artery. So when the vessel leaving the heart is called artery, vessel coming back to the heart is called vein, and they are coming together at one particular place. We have capillaries. There is a small fibrous network, right? Very thin fibrous network, and because of this network they interlink. So at this place the exchange of the blood and the gases takes place even, and the blood with the oxygen is moved from here and they exchange the gases, and then we can receive the CO2 in this vein and it goes back to lungs and heart, right? So this is called closed system because it is not open at all anywhere. Whereas in the other insects you may find open system. So they receive, they release the blood from the heart. It comes at one particular place and then there is open endings. It's not like this, but they have open endings. That blood enters the body and then enters back to the vein. So it's an open system. But in our human body, we have closed circulatory system, right? Now, when you look at this, you can see a couple of the names. Superior vena cava, then inferior vena cava. Keep in mind these four first of all, right? Superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. When it's superior vena cava, it brings the blood from the upper body part, from the head and shoulder and that part. So it enters from the upper side, so it is called superior vena cava. When you look at the inferior vena cava, it means the blood is coming from the lower part of the body. So it is called inferior vena cava, right? Then you can see they have given different names. If you just let me focus the camera, you can read right pulmonary and then right pulmonary vein, then ascending aorta and right atrium, then right coronary vein, right coronary artery, and right ventricle. They have shown about on the right side everything. So upper part is atrium, lower part is ventricle, right? Same way you can see the same name on the other side with the left particles. It says heretic arc. Now we'll see a little bit later on about the different vessels. But let me finish the naming. Then pulmonary trunk, descending aorta, left pulmonary artery, left pulmonary veins, then left atrium, left coronary vein, left coronary artery, inner ventricular sulcus and left ventricles, right? This is few basic things about the vessels, about the heart. The vessels leaving the heart, we call it artery. Again, let us recap. Vessels entering back to the heart called veins, right? And when these two vessels are coming in the contact, close contact, taxing the gases and the blood, the pure blood and the impure blood, that is very thin, very fibrous, microscopic, we would say, structures are there. We call it capillary, right? Now, let us look at the other structures of the heart even. When you look at the heart, you can see about the valves. Look at the heart and you can see about the valves. I have drawn the structure here roughly so you can have some idea, basic idea, just to get a basic idea of the heart and the valves. On this side of the right side, you will find a valve which we call tricuspid valve. Can you look at this here? Tricuspid valve. It is on your right side between the right atrium and right ventricle. So that is called tricuspid valve. If you look at the other side, on the left side, Again, it is between the left atrium and left ventricle, and that is what we call mitral valve or bicuspid valve, right? Mitral valve or bicuspid valve. You can look at here. You look at this bicuspid valve. The other name for that is mitral valve. It has two flaps, right? You can look at this diagram here, and I'll try to give the beautiful picture of this as well, so you can have some idea. It has three flaps, two flaps. This first flap and the second flap, right? Whereas in this, we can find three flaps. First, and then in between second, and then this third, right? It is so because of the three flaps, it is called tricuspid. Because of the two flaps, it is called bicuspid. So on the right side, you find right atrium. You can say right atrium, tricuspid valve, and then right ventricle, right? On the left side, you can say left atrium, bicuspid valve, or say mitral valve, and then left ventricle, right? So this is very important. Keep in mind this. This valve separates the atrium and the ventricle, the upper chamber and the lower chamber. In between the this left and right parts of the heart, you can see a septum. You can see this muscular part is there, which we call septum. Again, in this septum is a kind of valve. Generally, we have in the nose also we have septum. We have two nostrils in the nose, and between that we have septum, right? You know very well about this. So septum is a wall, a muscular wall, a kind of a cartilaginous wall, which separates the two parts. So here also we have septum. So the lower part of the septum is called ventricular septum, right? It's called ventricular septum, and the upper part here, which we call atrial septum. Atrial septum. So septum is very important again, right? Now when you look at this, then you can see the structure of the different vessels. As we just talk about the vessels entering the heart, we call superior or anterior vena cava, which brings the blood from the upper side, right? And then here you can see inferior or posterior vena cava, which brings the blood back from the body to the heart, from the lower part of the body to the heart, right? Now let us look at these few things about the blood vessels. Anterior vena cava, called superior vena cava, brings deoxygenated blood from the anterior or upper region of the body, so including head, chest, and arms. So that these are the upper part of the body, right? So this is what we call superior or anterior or upper region, and so it brings the blood from the upper region, right? And posterior vena cava or the inferior vena cava, which brings blood from the lower part of the body, including abdomen and legs. Now left atrium receives 4 pulmonary veins. Left lower part of the heart. I just make it very specifically so you can understand. When you say left atrium, right? Sorry, upper part of the heart, left part of the heart, it brings the 4 pulmonary veins. Can you see these here? This is left. This is the left atrium, right? This is the left part of the heart, upper part of the heart, and it brings 4 pulmonary veins, so that bring back the blood, right? The aorta and the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery arises from the right ventricle and carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation. Whatever the veins, the vessels leaving the heart is called artery, right? So if you look at the pulmonary artery, when we say generally artery carry out the pure blood with the oxygen. But when you say pulmonary artery, it means it is carrying out the deoxygenated blood with the carbon dioxide or impure blood from the heart to the lungs. Generally, other arteries are carrying oxygenated pure blood, but pulmonary artery, keep in mind this difference. Pulmonary artery contains deoxygenated blood. Same way, other vessels coming back to the heart are bringing back the carbon dioxide along with the blood. So we call it deoxygenated, other term, deoxygenated blood back to the heart, impure blood back to the heart. But when you look at the pulmonary veins, it brings blood with the oxygen. This is a difference here, right? Whatever the vessels entering the heart we call veins, and generally veins contains deoxygenated blood except the pulmonary vein. The vessels leaving the heart are called artery. They carry out oxygenated blood, but pulmonary artery carry out the deoxygenated blood to the lungs, right? There is a difference here you can keep in mind. Now, pulmonary artery arises from the right ventricle, carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation, and the aorta arises from the left ventricle and carries oxygenated blood to the all parts of the body. This is very important. This is aorta. Aorta is the largest artery. This is largest artery of the heart, right? This is very important. This is the largest artery. Keep in mind this, because this carry the blood to the body parts. It pumps the blood to the different parts of the human body. This is very important. So that's why we call it largest artery, right? Coronary artery, in the diagram you can see that two coronary arteries on the right and left rising from the base of the aorta, right? Two coronary arteries from the right and left of the aorta. This supply the blood to the heart muscles. When there is blockage in any coronary artery or in any one or more of the branches, there is deadening. It becomes dead. So when we hear somebody has a blockage in the heart, so this is a blockage, right? As we just learned that they supplies the blood to the heart muscles. When there is a blockage, they become dead, right? Of the corresponding areas of the heart muscles, leading to the myocardial infarction or a heart attack in popular language, because blood is not reaching to that part of the heart muscle, right? So when you look at this, take a look at left coronary artery, right, and right coronary artery. Can you see this? They supply blood to the heart muscles, right? And this is very important for the heart. So when we hear this, and when in the future when you hear the blockage, you keep in mind this is the area you get blockage, right? The cardiac veins collect blood from the heart walls and pour it into the right auricle. And angina pectoris is the chest pain due to the insufficient supply of the blood to the heart muscles. When blood is not reaching to the heart muscles, then we get this pain. We call it angina pectoris, right? Now look at the different valves. As we just talk about the valves, I just already touched these valves in a previous topic. You take a look at this again. This tricuspid valve on the between the right atrium and right ventricle, bicuspid valve or mitral valve between the left part of the heart or left atrium and left ventricle, right? And this tricuspid are, because of this there are three flaps. Bicuspid are two flaps, right? And we call it a mitral valve also. Let's look at in detail again. It's a diagram here. We'll look at this diagram here. It's very beautifully given. The heart. Can you look at this? You can see the valves here, right? Valves are here, nicely pictured, right? In the diagram. This is actually about the heartbeat and the systolic and diastolic functioning, but this talks about the valves as well. Right atrioventricular valve, right? So it is on the right side, located at the aperture between the right auricle and right ventricle. So other name for this right atrioventricular valve is we call tricuspid valve, right? It is here mentioned, right? It has 3 flaps, so we call it tricuspid. So the name is right atrioventricular valve on the tricuspid valve, right? The apices of the flaps are held in position by tendinous cords, or we call chordae tendineae, arising from the muscular projections of the ventricular wall known as papillary muscles. When you look at the papillary muscles in the papillary muscles, you can look at the papillary muscle here. These papillary muscles, the other term is chordae tendineae. These papillary muscles are very important because these muscles, can you see these muscles? This 1, 2, 3, they're like this shape. So they hold the valves in the proper place. You can see here also. These wherever you find the valves, you find the papillary muscles, and these papillary muscles function is very important because they keep the valve tightly closed, and when you open it, opens it nicely. So these muscles need to be in proper place, in a functioning properly. So when you listen this word papillary muscles, it is the function is very important. Now left atrioventricular valve or bicuspid valve, the other word is mitral valve, is on the left side. Pulmonary semilunar valves are located at the opening of the right ventricle into the pulmonary artery. So they are, we call semilunar because the shape is of the moon. Now this term lunar is very important term. We know the term for the moon also is called lunar, right? You might have heard the word lunar eclipse. So it is semilunar. The shape is like this, So it is called semilunar, right? So pulmonary semilunar valves, and same way you can find aortic semilunar valves when located at the point of origin of aorta. So take a look at the diagram, previous diagram. Look at here, you can find it here, right? Where the aorta arises, you can find that valves of aorta here. Can you see this here? In this part, right? So this is called semilunar or aortic semilunar valves at the place of the where aorta arise, and same for the pulmonary semilunar valves where the pulmonary artery takes place. Now this is about the structure of the heart. So in the next video we are going to see about the function of the heart, right?